Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Deutz Fahrm, and we're going lumberjacking today. So, you can see I've turned the tractor around, got it parked up near the trees. We're going to start with this one, so let's break out the chainsaw. And I kind of want it to fall that way, so let's prepare to cut about here. Now, this is quite a thick tree, so we could have some problems actually cutting this. Gonna have to grind out quite a bit. It's also going to be quite awkward trying to lift some of these pieces by hand. With the trunk, we may have to come back with a front loader so that we can pick up bits of those. So we're going to have to clean this tree off, and with a tree like this, it's going to take a little while because they're full of spindly little branches all over the place that we kind of need to trim off. Try and get in here if we can. I like to try and do an entire, work the tree, going from bottom to top when it comes to delimbing it. Make sure I get all the bits that could be sticking in the ground, like that. And work my way along so that I know I've got everything. And you'll see all the foliage will start to disappear as we do that. So moving along here, let's go this way next. And working my way along the branch. Okay, I think that one's done. Yeah, that was actually a limb to remove. Some of them could be quite tricky to tell as well. You see how much of this foliage we've removed. Just up that central piece there, look. Removed the vast majority of the tree, actually. We still need to do along here. Let's jump up onto... Get stuck in the tree. Let's go this way instead. Stuck on another branch. There we go. Make our way up. Now we've got this bit to do over here. And the whining of that chainsaw. There we go. Tree has been delimbed, so now it's time to remove these branches as cleanly as we possibly can. Look at the size of this trunk. This is really thick. This could be problematic. Trying to get that, chopped into pieces that we can actually do something with. I don't think we have any money to lease a chipper, do we? No, we don't. We have no money whatsoever. So everything that you see here is everything that we have, which is minus 1,700. It's not exactly a lot, but we will make some money off this tree itself for the bits that we do sell. So, oops. We'll cut all the smaller pieces off. They're going to be worth very little at all, especially since we're playing on hard. They're going to be worth next to nothing, unfortunately. But it does all add up, little by little. Try and get this in a good position to actually get good cut. There we go. I'm going to have to chop, some of these up quite dramatically to be able to then lift those pieces. They're going to be way too heavy to carry otherwise. Let's try and get that piece if we can. Had an angle a moment ago and I just overdid it slightly. Let's try and do it this way instead. Let's take this piece off the top. Just there. There we go. Now we can get access to this piece. Hopefully. There we go. Can I get a slightly better angle on that? Yes, I can. There we go. Is that piece falling away? Right, so that's too heavy. Going to need to cut that. I had a feeling that was going to be the case. Start cutting this into chunks that we can load into our trailer. Like so. Let's drop off. And let's clear up the bits that we can clear up first of all. Oh, even that's too heavy, look. So that's going to have to be chopped in half as well. That's still too heavy. There we go, now it's cut. It wasn't cut last time. Just going to get all the kind of wood in one area to start with, I think. Somewhere where we can actually start manipulating the branches a bit better. That one's too heavy, so we'll cut that. They can't be too long either, you know, otherwise they'll never actually fit in the trailer itself. That's something else we need to take into consideration. Getting a little bit of lag, I think, with this tree positioned where it is. That's going to be way too heavy to pick up, I think. Oh no, we can actually carry that piece. That's a surprise. Wasn't expecting that. Now, what about these pieces? Yeah, we can pick that up. Now, there's a long spindly bit that we can probably just trim off completely and make it disappear. Yep, there we go. That makes that a little bit more manageable. And also more likely to fit into our trailer. Same with this piece. Let's just trim the edge off that. And now let's get this limb here. The bulk of the money in this tree is going to be in the trunk itself. It's so big and thick. That's where all the money's going to be. These branches are going to be worth hardly anything at all. We're going to be talking like literally, you know, just single digits on a couple of these, maybe double digits if we're lucky. The real money, I say, is going to be in the trunk. Now we're going to be in triple digits, maybe. You know, per piece. It depends on how big those pieces are going to end up. You know, it's a very big tree in terms of its thickness, which means if we're going to be able to actually lift those pieces up, they're going to have to be tiny, tiny pieces. Alright, so we should be able to lift all of these pieces up. And these ones I may as well just load directly into the trailer if we can. It's a shame, oops. It's a shame we don't have a higher walled trailer in some respects. You know, it is going to limit just how much of this wood we can actually get in there before it's kind of full. But we'll just have to keep sort of plodding along. Where's that other piece that I cut? There it is. Getting the wood in as best we can. Oh, these pieces are really small. I cut them way too small, look. Mind you, that was actually quite a heavy piece. We didn't have much choice in the matter on this one, if I remember rightly. That is not positioned very well. Let's bring it out and drop it at a better angle. That should do. few more of these. Once the trailer looks like it's getting a bit full, we'll take it down and sell it. This is going to be a bit of a laborious job, a bit of a long process, getting rid of all of these trees. That's why I'm grateful that we don't have too many to get rid of, because these trees can be an absolute nightmare. They can really sap your will to work and your will to live as well. I remember on the old stream, there were a whole ton of these sort of oak trees everywhere that were dotted in between all the fields that I was wanting to combine, and in the end I had to by hand cut, delimb, and then chip 52 of those oak trees. And by the end of it, I'd got a huge amount of wood chips, massive amount of wood chips, and no desire to do any logging ever again. For months, I just avoided doing any kind of logging because I had more than my fill. Getting rid of all of those trees, it was just too much. Luckily we've only got 3, and I may even only just do 2 of these trees. I don't know if I'm going to do them all, the 3 of them. I may keep the 3rd one. But, yeah, there were so many of them that by the end I'm just like completely burnt out on doing any kind of, logging like this on these trees, which are really awkward and cumbersome and time-consuming and soul-destroying when you've got so many of them. And then it's not just that, you've got to go around and you've got to tear up all the roots and grind out all the stumps, and it's just it becomes a horrible chore rather than something a little bit different just to pass some time. It goes from being a fun, relaxing activity to a stress-inducing nightmare. Or at least that was my experience anyway, just because there were so damn many of them. Had there not been so many, it wouldn't have been so difficult. It wouldn't have been so, unpleasant in the end. But yeah, I'm well versed in delimbing these trees. Unfortunately, it's not an experience I had any kind of desire to reenact on that kind of scale anytime soon. We're actually making a lot quicker work of this tree than I thought, and you can see now that those some of those branches have gone. Some of the frame rate dropping has gone as well, which is good. The frame rates have definitely improved a little bit, he says, as they immediately suffer once I take that piece of tree off. Right, let's get the cut here. Big piece, so that means this first bit's going to be heavy, so it's going to need to be short, I think. There we go. The next piece can be a bit longer. And that's probably a little bit too long. Let's go there. Not so much the length, but the fact that it's got that kink in it, which makes it a little bit trickier. I'll just trim the edge off that piece as well, just to make the log a little bit, more manageable. That can go in. There we go. That was too heavy. It's not the one we cut, that's why. There's that big bit. Oops, dropped it. Throw that one in. Well, that ends up being just about the right sort of length. Let's see, how much have we got in there now? It's not a bad little amount, actually. Right, let's chop this one up. next piece will be about there. And about there. There we go. So, can we actually pick these bigger bits up? Yes, we can. Good. I'm wondering whether or not we should actually just try and cut up that trunk, or try and take it down with the Fortis as complete as we possibly can. Like I say, that's going to be where the bulk of the money comes from. That tree is going to be just from that trunk, because it is, you know, much bigger, thicker and heavier than the rest of the tree. But it's going to be awkward. I mean, I'll try and cut a piece, but you can see just how thick this thing is that we might not even get a cut ring. Got one there. And that's it. I can't go any more than that. So I think that's going to be too big to pick up, personally. So if that's the case, I think we try and find a good spot to cut it in half, or into thirds, and then take it down with a front loader. Oh, we don't have a log claw. Well, hopefully we'll get enough money from those branches, although I kind of doubt it, to actually get a log claw. Let's see, can we actually lift this ring here? Will this wedge be too heavy? Oh, we can get that wedge in. That'll go. So I guess we're just going to have to keep chopping sections off. Let's try and go a little bit bigger. See if we can actually manage this one. Oh, that one will go as well. That's good. Maybe this tree isn't quite as heavy as I thought it was going to be then. These big chunks of wood. Oh no, that's pretty much the limit there. The fact that we can barely toss that means we're pretty much at the limit of how heavy we can get away with. Which means this one's going to have to be perhaps a little bit thinner. And as the tree gets thicker as well, it gets harder and harder to actually get to a point where you can actually make a cut. Oops. Normally, what I like to do is kind of cut all the trees up and then just have them ready and waiting. But because money is, you know, such an issue for us right now, I don't have the luxury of doing that really. I kind of, you know, we're going to have a point, I think, where we're going to need a log claw. And we don't even have the money to lease a log claw, let alone buy one. Because we have no money available in our loan and we are in debt on our cash in hand situation as well. So we kind of have to cut this up into pieces like this and carry it down in the back of the trailer and sell the whole thing. But the good news is we are actually able to cut this tree up like this. I was a little worried that this would be a lot more challenging than it's turning out to be. That's going to be too heavy, so that's going to need to be cut in half. Hopefully we'll be able to pick that big piece up on the left. Yes, we can. That's the bit I was worried about, but we can actually get that in. That's good. So let's drop that piece in. Let's get that piece lifted and in. And if we can get these pieces in, we can get the rest of the tree in. So now it's just a case of making sure stuff doesn't fall out the side of the trailer on the way to the lumber mill. So I'm really hoping that we're going to be able to clear our debt. Our $1,700 debt. I think that just went up by $1. I wonder what would have caused that to go up by an extra $1. Very weird. Yeah, hopefully we can clear it with this tree, although I have my concerns that that may not actually happen. I don't know. This is a fairly big tree, so should hopefully put us back to 0, or if not 0, very, very close to it. We're certainly not going to have the money to be able to plant any trees, but we need to grind out that stump and the stump of the other tree as well, and that means we need to be able to lease a stump grinder, and right now we don't have the money to do that either. So I'm really hoping that at the very least we get enough money to lease a grinder. It looks like we're not going to get the entire tree into one trailer. I could possibly try and get more of a second tree in there as well, but I think that would just be asking for trouble. Now, can I get all of these pieces in? I did go a little bit large on the last 2 pieces. Yeah, that one will go. Let's find space for it in the trailer. There we go. I'm concerned about that one. Let's move that across a bit more. Oops. There we go. That's better. And now this piece. Yes, that'll go as well. So there we go. That's tree number 1. So let's take that over to the lumber mill and go make a sale, I suppose. Let's go this way, just for a change of scenery. Little stack of wood just there that we passed, because we didn't come this way on the map tour. We kind of highlighted that this route was here, but we didn't actually take this route. We didn't come all the way out here. Hope we haven't lost any wood out the back. Well, I guess we'll find out on the way on the way back up if we've got any wood kind of just sort of dotted everywhere. I don't want to go too crazy on the speed. And the lumber mill is around the back of the shop, I believe. Yeah, look, our debt's gone up again. It's now 1732. Ugh. I'm not entirely sure what's causing that debt either. Well, we shouldn't be incurring maintenance costs until the end of the day, I think, so not sure why we're recording them now. A bit of a bump. That's our wood chip point. There's our log point just there. So, next question is, can I just actually tip this? Enough for the wood to actually fall out? No. It's the answer. Well, we can throw some of these bits out by hand, I suppose. Hopefully the smaller logs will end up slipping through the grate. I can see a couple of them have done already. It's just these bigger bits we need to kind of just help out a little bit. Yeah, you can see they're trying to make their way through. It's got this big chunk out here. That piece there is blocking the rest. Can I even get that piece out? Not really. What about this piece? Ah, there we go. They're kind of jiggling their way in. well, we've cleared our debt. We are $200 and something. 326 in the green. Ah, lovely. Right, so we need a stump grinder. Can we at least lease a stump grinder? They're going to be into forestry equipment, aren't they? They're 5,400 to lease. We don't quite have enough. We are going to have to cut up the other tree as well. Okay, that's fair enough. That's kind of what I expected would be the case. I can't really say I'm overly disappointed by that. It's what I was expecting. So we'll just drive the route back and just carefully check to make sure that we haven't got any logs lurking on the road or the dirt path that might have dropped out the back of our truck. We should be okay, I think. It's a very nice scenic little route. And there's a lot of traffic on the road, which is something I like. You know, just when you see like one car every now and again, or you see just like 3 or 4 cars and then nothing, and then another 3 or 4 cars and then nothing. It's nice to actually see a lot of traffic moving in both directions at, you know, all at once. It just makes everything feel a little bit more realistic, I suppose. A little bit of frame dropping again in this area. Can I swing around here? I don't know. There we go, and then this is our next tree, our target tree here. So let's park just there. And this time I want the tree to fall kind of that way. So I want to cut about here. Let's get a nice ring. There we go. Down she goes. And hopefully we can make a good couple of thousand off this tree as well. So let's do the same again. Let's start delimbing. Getting rid of all these bits of foliage so that we can actually see what's left behind, what we need to cut. Let's jump over to this bit. Let's trim all of this. There we go. Let's trim this piece. There we go. Gone that way. I don't think we've gone up here yet. Let's go up this way. There we go, that's clean. Let's go this way. This is quite a long piece. Got a lot of stuff to trim off that one. There we go. Make our way back along. This piece next. Oh, this is riddled with stuff that needs to be trimmed off. There we go. It's just that one at the bottom now, I think, that's left. Yeah, just this one. So, run along this. And that one is good to go. So let's start cutting off these limbs. Oops, slipped on the tree, that's not so good. And we'll get this limb next. I can get a little closer to the trunk on that one, but that's about as good as it's going to get, I think. This piece next. And then this one. Get the right angle. No. Maybe this way. Actually cut through that. I thought I had done. Okay. Now let's start doing some of these slightly more awkward squiggly bits. Let's start with this one, I suppose, if we can. Do a straight cut, and that's going to destabilise the tree. Change the angle a bit. Might make getting into some of these a little bit easier as a result. There we go. That's a nice clean angle there. See, we can get this one here. Oops, I fell off. Cut this one at a bit of an angle here, just so that we can get it out of the way and get access to the branch below it. That hasn't really worked from that angle. Right, let's try this one. There we go. Excellent. So, I think we are now ready to start trimming these down into something that can go into the back of our trailer. So let's just remove the spindly bit. There we go. Start at the big end. And then get to about there. Then about there. Same over here, we'll get rid of the spindly bit. And on this one as well. Excellent. Those bits are worth absolutely nothing at all, which is why they're going down so easily. Lumberjacking on hard is definitely not a great money-making exercise. You know, you won't make a huge amount. You'll make depending on the trees that you're cutting, you'll make a decent amount. But on trees like this, you'll make hardly any money at all. You know, you only really cut these down, you know, for the convenience of not having them where they are. If any other reason to try and cut these trees down, you know, if you're trying to cut them down for money, these are not the ones to do. It's amazing how little money you can make on lumberjacking now compared to what you could on Farming Sim 15. It's like they did with silage. They completely nerfed just how much money logging was making, because a single tree like this in Farming Sim 15, you know, was worth a fortune compared to what it's worth in 17. You know, it was a lot of work, a lot of hassle, but you know, the tree on its own at the end, you know, was worth a staggeringly large amount of money. And now they're still a lot of work, and they're worth hardly any money in comparison. You know, especially on the harder difficulties. I mean, you can still make some kind of decent money on easy, and some okay money, but not good money on normal. And on hard, you already saw how little I made off that tree. You know, made absolutely nothing off it, just a couple of thousand, and that was it for an entire tree. And yeah, we kind of cut it up a bit in a way that probably devalued it a little bit, but even so, to get so little just shows you just how little money there is to be made when it comes to woodwork. You know, in 17 in comparison to 15. You really need to have a proper operation. You know, you need to have a lot of fir trees and something like a scorpion, and just mass cut those and build up a huge stockpile of nice, even, straight logs. That's when you start to make your money in logging in 17. Not from doing these kind of trees here. These are just a nightmare to work with. Just not financially worth it. The amount of time and effort you have to put into getting them into a state where you can sell them. And heaven forbid you cut the tree down and then just drag the whole tree over to a sell box. You get nothing, you know, practically nothing. You get a couple of $100 for the entire tree. It's, you know, it's ridiculous how little you get. If you don't delimb the tree and turn it into actual usable logs. Where's the rest? There we go. This branch will go next. I think I might have actually cut this one already. Yes, I have. We have got some silage bales left over. I suppose what I could do is maybe just sell the silage bales. Although I'd have to lease another wrapper again to then make more. That's money I don't have. I was thinking maybe I could sell some silage bales to raise enough to buy a tree, and then we could at least get some money coming in from this area with our new sort of little orchard up and running with a tree. But I don't know if that's actually going to be a good idea or not. We've got quite a lot of straw bales, so I could maybe sell some straw bales and get a little bit of cash for those. Whoops. Definitely frame drops when we're facing that direction. When we turn around again, we're absolutely fine. So all of this foliage and these leaves and weeds here seem to be causing the frame rate to judder a bit, and then as soon as we turn around, it's smooth again. So maybe we should just walk backwards like this. We won't get those frame judders. That's a little bit long, I think, for the trailer. Might go in. Let's give it a try. Yeah, we can just squeeze that one in. That'll do. Right, now we need to chop this big beastie up. We've actually got a bit stuck underneath. Pull that out. Go. So yeah, let's get this piece chopped, same as we did last time. So I have to cut it into chunks that we can at least are going to be light enough for us to pick up, so that we can load them into the trailer. And then we'll take this down, we'll grab a stump grinder, we'll come back, grind out those stumps. And then I think we'll probably be ready to actually start fertilising our fields. Of course, to do that, we're going to have to pay for fertiliser that we can't really afford, which means it's just going to put us back into debt and further away from our goal of being able to actually buy a tree. So I'm guessing it's going to be a little while before we can actually get this orchard up and running. Why is it so laggy in one direction, not the other? That's very strange. Is it the building that's causing the lag? Is it the tree next to the building that's causing the lag? Is it the foliage that's causing the lag? Not really sure, but whatever the reason, it is laggy. Let's lift that piece out of there before it falls out and reposition it where it will stay in. There we go. Okay, see, look, we back away so that we don't see that foliage, we don't see that tree, we don't see that building. Really smooth. Really smooth. Right, let's get this rest of this tree done. Seeing that piece of wood falling off the edge of the tree there just reminded me of the deli counter at the local supermarket. You see someone with a meat slicer. That looks like we actually lost a piece there. What the hell happened there? It's fallen into the ground, look. That's very weird. I don't know if I can even pick that up. Ah, part of the tree has lost its collision. So this piece, oops, it's going to be worth I can only pick it up from that branch, look. I think. The rest of the tree has no collision anymore. That's awkward. That means that piece is going to be worth hardly any money. And it looks like another piece actually fell through into the ground as well. That's potentially going to cause a problem. Maybe it will resurface. Can we actually pick this piece up like this? Yes, we can. Again, it's got no weight because it's got no collision anymore. Which also means it's going to have very little value. Yeah, it looks like the rest of the tree's gone. There's our stump. There's a little wedge off the edge of the stump where we made the cut. There should be one by the other stump as well. Where's that? That's over here. Is there a wedge on this one? No. Looks like we got a cleanish cut. Now that's where the wedge was, but it's not there anymore. I don't see it, so we either grabbed it or it just didn't happen. So yeah, it looks like we did lose a chunk of the log, a chunk of a chunk of the trunk somewhere in the ground here. Hopefully that won't cause us any issues going forward, but let's take the second load of logs down. Let's go sell that, and then we can pick up our stump grinder, bring that back, grind out those stumps, and at least have the area ready to take those those trees. You can see we've got a bit of log trying to escape through the side of the trailer there. That's a little worrying. I'm going to reposition that. If I can. It might be stuck inside the trailer. Yeah, that's kind of wedged. I can't do anything about it. I'm just going to have to be very wary of it and very careful. So I'm going to drive in third person this time so I can watch it, see if it shakes its way free. Got another piece trying to escape at the back as well there, look. Hopefully we can actually get these over to the lumber mill without them disappearing. A little wobble from the piece at the back there. Take it nice and slow and steady over the bridge. No sudden jolts. Work our way past the Minol garage. And this is a really sharp turn. And that's what causes the traffic jams, look. That junction. Very, very sharp junction. Right, so will that piece that's sticking out be automatically triggered as a cell? No, it won't. Okay, that's a shame. Let's see if we can maybe get a few of these to drop through. Something sold. Yeah, a whole chunk of selling, look. Beautiful. Just got a couple of pieces that are kind of getting wedged and not playing ball. Beautiful, there we go. We sold all the wood from those two trees and we have just under 1,600, so certainly enough to lease our stump grinder. Go. Have to be extra careful on these twisty roads around here. Make sure we don't try and accidentally saw a car in half or something. Or one of the locals for that matter. Still processing all those individual pieces of wood. Look, there we go. There's the lease cost finally registering. See, these trees here, these are ideal for a scorpion. But the wood, the ground is sloped, which will make getting at some of them a little bit trickier. And speaking of tricky, this turn's going to be tricky with this stump grinder sticking out the front. We're going to have to do a wide sweep. There we go, we're in. So let's just drop off the trailer there for a second. Let's grind out this stump here. This one here. There we go. And we paid $400 just to do that. You know, that's quite a lot, but it is what it is. I don't think we need to get rid of any more trees. I think just having those two gone is going to give us a nice little workable space there. So, yeah, that's it. Let's go take this back. Just turn it off again so we don't saw anybody or anything in half by mistake. Then we'll come back, pick up the trailer and head back to the farm. And while I'm doing that, I think this is a good place to kind of end the episode. So thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and we'll be back with some more Deutz Fahrm very soon.